今天要分享的改编故事是手不释卷，希望能在学习英语的路上给你带来收获。你的每个点赞和订阅都是对我莫大的鼓励。那么，咱们开始吧。
In the turbulent years of the Three Kingdoms period, around 200 AD, there lived a man named Lu Meng. He was a general in the army of Eastern Wu. Lu Meng was tough. He had started his career as a mere soldier, fighting his way up from the bottom. He was fearless in battle. His spear and sword were an extension of his own arms. But Lu Meng had a weakness. He grew up poor, in a rural village. There was no money for teachers, no time for scrolls. He was illiterate. Completely. For years, it didn't seem to matter. His bravery and tactical instincts on the battlefield were raw, but effective. He earned promotions, respect from his men, and a reputation as a man of action, not words. If you needed a city taken, you sent Lu Meng. If you needed a border defended, you sent Lu Meng. But if you needed a report written explaining the campaign, well, someone else had to do that part. One day, a message arrived from the supreme commander, the king of Wu himself, Sun Quan. The king wanted to see him. Lu Meng rode to the palace, his mind probably running through possible military campaigns, troop movements, supply lines. He was a soldier, he expected a soldier's conversation. He was wrong. Sun Quan was a brilliant leader. He wasn't just a king, he was a man building a dynasty, and he needed more than just fighters. He needed scholars, thinkers, and strategists. He looked at Lu Meng standing before him, this powerful, battle-hardened warrior, and he saw potential that was not being used. Lu Meng, Sun Quan began, his voice calm but firm. You are now a high-ranking officer. You command thousands of men. You manage vast territories. This is no longer just about fighting. You must read. You must study. You need to understand history and strategy to make the right decisions. Lu Meng was taken aback. This was not the order he expected. He shifted his weight, the leather of his armor creaking in the silent hall. My king, Lu Meng said, his voice rough from shouting orders on windy fields. In the military camp, there is always so much to do. Training, inspections, patrols. My mind is constantly occupied with the affairs of the army. I am afraid I simply do not have the time to sit down with books. It was the oldest excuse in the world. I'm too busy. And from a man with his responsibilities, it sounded perfectly reasonable. But Sun Quan was not a man who accepted excuses. He leaned forward slightly. Busy? Sun Quan asked, a hint of a smile on his face. Tell me, Lu Meng. Are you busier than I am? The question hung in the air. El opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. He was a general, the king was the ruler of everything. Of course the king was busier. Sun Quan continued. I am not asking you to become a Confucian scholar, to spend your days memorizing ancient poems. I am asking you to read, to look at the past, to learn from the mistakes and successes of those who came before us. When I was young, I read the Book of Songs, the Book of History, the Book of Rites, the Zhuan. Since I took on the responsibility of ruling, I have studied the 3 histories and various military texts. And I can tell you, Lu Meng, it has helped me enormously. Lu Meng listened, his pride a little bruised, but his mind beginning to open. Sun Quan saw the change in his expression and pressed on. Think about it. You have a quick and capable mind. You will gain so much from this. You should start with The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and the 6 Secret Teachings. Then move on to the Zhuan and the Records of the Grand Historian. These books will show you the patterns of victory and defeat. Sun Quan stood up and walked towards a window, looking out over his kingdom. People always say they are too busy. But Emperor Guangwu of the Han Dynasty, even when he was leading armies in the field, in the middle of military campaigns, always had a book in his hand. He never put it down. And Cao Cao, the great warlord in the north, he also says he loves to learn, even as he grows old. If they can find the time, why can't you? Lu Meng left the palace that day with a heavy box of bamboo scrolls and an even heavier feeling in his chest. His king, the busiest man in the land, had taken the time to teach him a lesson. He felt a deep sense of shame. He had been so proud of his physical strength, his courage, his military skill. He had never realized how much he was missing. Back in his own quarters, he unrolled the first scroll. The characters stared back at him, a collection of confusing lines. It was hard. His head hurt. He wanted to put it down, to go back to the training grounds where he knew what he was doing. But he thought of Sun Quan's words. He thought of the Emperor Guangwu, reading by torchlight inside a tent, the sounds of the army all around him. He picked the scroll back up. And he kept at it. Day after day. Night after night. He read Sun Tzu, learning about deception and terrain. He read the histories, seeing how old battles were won and lost. He began to see the world differently. A landscape was no longer just a place to fight, it was a place to be understood, with advantages and weaknesses he could use. Soon, his officers noticed a change. In strategy meetings, Lu Meng would say things that surprised them. He would quote ancient battles, give examples from history. His decisions became sharper, more sophisticated. The real test came when one of the top scholars in Wu, a man named Lu Su, had to pass through Lu Meng's territory. Lu Su had always thought of Lu Meng as just a simple soldier, brave but uneducated. He didn't expect much from their meeting. They sat down to discuss the current military situation, the threats and possibilities. Lu Meng began to speak. He didn't just talk about troop numbers. He laid out a complete strategic analysis. He pointed out potential weaknesses in their defenses. He proposed several detailed plans to deal with their rivals, plans that showed a deep understanding of both military tactics and human nature. Lu Su was stunned. His mouth actually fell open. He listened, completely captivated, as this man he had dismissed as a mere warrior laid out strategies that were brilliant in their depth and foresight. When Lu Meng finished, there was a long silence. Lu Su leaned across the table. Lu Meng, he said, his voice full of respect. My friend. I have known you for a long time. But the man sitting before me today. This is not the Lu Meng I used to know. You have lost that old, simple outlook. You have gained something far greater. Lu Meng laughed, a deep, honest laugh. Lu Su, he replied. A man who separates from his studies for just 3 days is a man who is no longer the same person. You cannot stop learning. It changes you. Lu Su immediately went to see Lu Meng's mother, to pay his respects, and from that day on, they were close friends, bound by mutual respect. Lu Meng went on to become one of the greatest generals of the Three Kingdoms, famous not just for his bravery, but for his wisdom. He designed and executed brilliant campaigns, capturing entire provinces for his king. He proved that the sharpest weapon a person can have is not always made of metal. Think about your own life. We all have that thing we know we should do. Learn a new language. Master a new skill. Read a book that challenges us. But we have the same excuse Lu Meng had. I'm too busy. Work. Family. Chores. The day fills up so fast. We tell ourselves we'll get to it tomorrow, next week, next year. But tomorrow never comes. Lu Meng was a general in charge of thousands of men, in the middle of a brutal war, and he found the time. If a man fighting for his life in ancient China could find time to learn, what's our excuse? The scroll is waiting. Pick it up. Don't put it down.
下集请移步主页观看。